Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank.
Good day and a very warm welcome to Africa Investor Today as we bring you news from across the African continent. I'm Zylan. We start today's bulletin with politics and economy. United Nations climate talks resumed yesterday in Barcelona after African nations agreed to return to the table that negotiates emissions targets for 37 industrialized countries. About 50 African nations dropped their boycott of talks on renewing the Kyoto Protocol Accord. The UN needs all parties of the 1997 Kyoto Agreement to agree on renewing greenhouse gas limits that are binding on developed countries only through 2012. The protests threatened to derail a two-year program to conclude a new global warming treaty in Copenhagen at a UN climate summit starting on December 7th. President Teodoro Obiang Nguema of Equatorial Guinea has granted a full pardon to British coup plotter Simon Mann and 4 Southern African mercenaries who plotted to overthrow his government 5 years ago. Equatorial Guinea Supreme Court Chief Justice Obona Ola yesterday told the Associated Press that Mann and his accomplices were freed yesterday morning and had flown home. Olo said President Teodoro Obiang Nguema on Monday gave the 5 men a full pardon for humanitarian reasons for the 2004 coup plots. Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo arrived in Accra on Tuesday for a 2-day visit to Ghana, during which he and his host President John Evans Atta Mills will hold bilateral talks. They will discuss issues affecting the sub-region and regional matters of importance. According to the itinerary of the Ivorian leader, Gbagbo will have private lunch and visit the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum in Accra and meet Ivorian citizens on Tuesday. We'll be back with Africa Investor Today after the short break. Stay with us.
Redefining energy means redefining life. At the Petroleum, Oil and Gas Corporation of South Africa, our commitment to greater innovation and greener fuels has made us pioneers in the field of gas-to-liquids technology. It has also earned us worldwide recognition for producing the cleanest fuels through environmentally friendly processes. That's how we've become the international leader in diesel technology. Through pure innovation, pure energy, pure brilliance.
On to banking and finance now. South African domestic banks are suffering from slower growth in loans and rising bad debts, but their capital ratios are sound, according to the Reserve Bank's Financial Stability Review. The ratio of capital to banks' risk-weighted asset profile rose from 13.01% to 13.69% between January and June, the period under review. The minimum regulatory requirement in South Africa is 9.5% and the international minimum benchmark is 8%. In many countries, banks were forced to turn to government for capital during the global financial crisis because they would have been unable to stay in business otherwise. The local industry remains sound, but it is under pressure as 3 consecutive quarters of recession put a squeeze on both the corporate and household sectors. To engender financial liquidity in the system and fast-track investments, especially in the real sector, the Central Bank of Nigeria has cut down by 400 basis points earnings on fixed deposits in the financial system in Nigeria. The deposit rate cut is, however, below the Apex Bank's monetary policy rate, which was left at 6%. Meanwhile, in a renewed move aimed at ensuring stability in the banking sector, the CBN is set up Asset Management Company of Nigeria. The reduction is one of the high points of the Apex Bank's Monetary Policy Committee meeting, which was held in Abuja on Tuesday. The MPC is the CBN's think tank, which prescribes the monetary policy framework or roadmap for the country. With that, we'll take a break. We'll be back after this.
Afrexim Bank is Africa's leading trade finance bank, an organization dedicated to promoting African trade through credit, risk-bearing and advisory services. We pride ourselves on having local presence throughout the continent and are committed to extending our award-winning trade and project finance programs to unlock private sector development continent-wide. We invite you to become a part of our vision for a strong Africa in a changing world. If you trade within Africa, contact us to support you.
on to companies and markets now. Ghana has no intention of abrogating Vodafone Group PLC's $900 million purchase of a 70% stake in Ghana Telecommunications, but will re-engage the company as some issues the government said on Tuesday after a review of the deal. The announcement comes 2 weeks after a government committee ruled the agreement illegal in a move that unsettled investors in one of Africa's most developed economies. The deal by the British mobile phone company in August last year was harshly criticized in Parliament at the time by the National Democratic Congress, which came to power in January. On Tuesday, markets punished Illovo Sugar after it predicted flat earnings growth for this financial year despite high sugar prices. Stock in Africa's biggest sugar producer closed 6.47%, down to 3,340 cents as the group voiced concerns over the effects of the strong rand on its South African operations. In a trading statement, Illovo said that it expected the rand to remain strong for the rest of the financial year, damaging its export revenue. It also noted that a rights issue in September would dilute earnings per share by 10 to 20% compared with the previous financial year. A strong performance in the first half of the financial year was ascribed to improved world markets sugar prices as well as increased production in Zambia and Tanzania. We'll continue with Africa Investor today and bring you the latest infrastructure news after the break. Stay with us.
Africa Investor, the leading African investment magazine, is essential reading for investors in Africa, filled with the very latest in Pan-African investment and finance news. In addition, log on to africa-investor.com to find out more about our exciting capital market, infrastructure and tourism events, and our long-standing investable Africa Investor 100 Index series, which tracks over $600 billion of African equities. Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
And finally, in infrastructure now, a 12.3 billion naira contract for the rehabilitation of 488-kilometer Lagos to Jebba rail track has been awarded to a Chinese firm by the federal government. The contract, which covers the provision of signal and telecommunications facilities for the Nigerian Railway Corporation, is expected to be completed within 10 months by China's Civil Engineering and Construction Company. At the signing of the contract in Abuja, Minister of Transport Alhaji Asa Bayo said about 24 billion naira would be needed for the repair of the rail lines in the country. He said the project, when completed, would increase frequency of train movement, particularly when the 25 locomotives ordered from General Electric are delivered and put into use. On to more positive news now. Rwanda's national carrier, Rwanda Air, is set to introduce new flights to Goma and Dar es Salaam. The flights to Goma and Dar es Salaam, which will start on the 2nd and 15th of December respectively, comes as the carrier intends to expand its network. Of recent, in order to deliver better services and coping with growing competition within the region, the carrier has opened up a sales office in Nairobi, and it has started cutting fares of some of its destinations. And the carrier also plans to fly into Johannesburg, South Africa daily before the end of the year. Rwanda is currently working on special offers and packages for the FIFA World Cup in 2010. And with that news, we wrap up today's bulletin. Do log on to our website at africa-investor.com for more news. Goodbye.
Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank.